Alright, so today's video is going to be less vlog style, more about just talking about things I noticed while starting a business, things that were harder than I initially thought they were going to be when starting a business. Also just topics that I found to be important while going through the process that has helped me, and hopefully, if you down the line are looking into starting a business, hopefully my insight will help allow you to avoid the same issues that I may have encountered, and hopefully just make it a little easier for you. The first topic that I'm going to be talking about that I found to be much harder initially than I thought it was going to be was finding a manufacturer. So if your company is something that produces actual products and isn't just a service, you're going to need to find somewhere to actually make the product. So for me, I didn't really know where to start since I hadn't really been in this industry before. So what I did was I just looked up manufacturers for what I needed, so plastic and foam. So I was looking up local manufacturers, people along the East Coast that were involved in plastic and foam manufacturing, and I just went about cold emailing and cold calling them. So the biggest thing for me was I wasn't getting many responses initially, so I noticed that I had sent out and called probably close to 100 different manufacturers, whether that's foam or plastic manufacturing. And honestly, I probably got maybe 10 to 15 responses, if that. And the biggest thing I noticed from that was just to keep going, like the law of large numbers. So instead of reaching out to 10 manufacturers and getting declined or no response from all of them, I tried to reach out. I just kept reaching out, and I ended up reaching out to close to 100, like I mentioned. And even if you get one or two that possibly provide you that opportunity to have a conversation with them, it's still a positive, because even if you don't end up working with them, you're going to learn about the communication with the manufacturer, the process they go through, and you're going to be able to use that for future communications when you hopefully do find the right manufacturer. So like I said, the biggest problem initially for me was finding someone who could fit my needs and fit what I was looking for, because Benji Ball, it's a uniquely designed product. So I was trying to find someone who could really cater towards what I was looking for. Another thing that I wanted to ensure the manufacturers knew was that although I was young, I still had the knowledge base to be able to go out and actually turn an idea into a product, and I had the motivation to do so, and I wasn't just wasting their time, because when you're dealing with potential contracts that are in the tens of thousands of dollars and you're 20, 21, 22 years old, manufacturers sometimes may not look at you as seriously as someone who's older and possibly has gone through the process before, especially when you're a startup. So just making sure that you have all the knowledge ready when you're going into a meeting with them, whether that's a phone call meeting, a Zoom meeting, or even in person. The biggest thing for me was making sure that I had all my questions prepared, all the topics that I wanted to touch upon, and I did research for what I was going to talk to them about. So if I was going to a foam manufacturer, I was going to look up different potential foam options that I could do, the opportunity to possibly make it water resistant or waterproof, the durability of the foam. I had questions literally covering every single possible topic that you could think of about foam. And a meeting that some people may have been 5 minutes, I made sure that I was able to get everything out of that meeting, even if it took 15 to 20 minutes or even longer. And that really showed manufacturers that I was serious about it, and that I was doing the deep diving into the information that I needed to make sure I was going to actually make this idea turn into a product. And that really reassured the manufacturer that I was serious about this, and that I'm not wasting their time, they're not wasting my time. So that was one thing that I noticed, was just make sure do your research on whatever topic you're going into or whatever meeting you're having with whether that's a plastic manufacturer, foam manufacturer, anything along those lines. Biggest thing for me was reassuring them that while I am young, I am serious about this, and I know what I'm doing, and there is much more to learn, obviously, but I know what I'm looking for, and I can express that to them. So good news, you found a manufacturer, one manufacturer finally responded, and what's next, you may be asking. So the next step is trying to get to the point where you can get a quote from them, so you can actually get the financials down behind what it's going to cost to produce your product. So the biggest thing that I noticed for me with the success of getting an actual quote from a manufacturer was just being persistent and continuing to reach out to them, and set reminders in your own calendar to check in with the manufacturer each day, just to make sure that there's nothing else that you could possibly provide to help speed up the process. And once they do ensure you that they're working on a quote, see if you can get a deadline for when you're expected to get that quote by. So say they give you a deadline of 3 to 5, say 5 days after your set time of communication. So you're talking now, and then 5 days from now, you're expected to have a quote. Well, when those 5 days come around, if you don't have a quote, don't be afraid to contact them, give them a call, give them a ring to their direct line, and just ask them if there's any update or if there is anything else they may need from you. Because that was the biggest thing for me was, although some manufacturers said they were getting me a quote, it still took me checking up with them multiple days, even a week after, just to ensure that that quote was actually coming along. So you got a quote from a manufacturer. Good news. The next thing is that quote for a prototype or production unit? The biggest thing that I noticed for me was starting with a prototype and not just going straight into production. And thank God I didn't, because there have been a lot of alterations along the path from the initial prototype to the actual final product that it's going to be. So for me, I noticed that it was extremely important to get a prototype, because in my circumstance, I was going to pitch competitions and pitching in front of individuals that I was hoping to raise funds from. So I was able to give them an actual product that they were able to see, feel, and look at, instead of just a picture of a product that they were seeing on a screen. So this allowed them to actually look at the product while I was then describing to them what the final product will be. So this was the initial prototype. As you can see, it's a hard plastic, so that's not what I initially wanted. I really wanted it to be a soft foam, so if you got hit with it, it wasn't going to hurt. So when I was pitching to the individuals during the presentation, I was able to give them this prototype and then describe what the final product would be. And then I was able to also give them the bat. And then this allowed me the opportunity to show them that I've gone through the process, I'm serious about this, I actually have a legitimate prototype, and then I can go on to describe what the next step is to get to the production process. So I've gone from this prototype that it doesn't really look very good, it got all faded by the sun, to now a prototype that's nearly exactly what I want for the final product. And that's all because I started with this one. So I would highly recommend looking into getting prototypes instead of just jumping into your final product. Now, the biggest and most important thing that I can say is trying to find mentors, whether that's one mentor or 10 mentors. Just having the opportunity to speak with someone who has gone through the process that you're trying to go through, to hopefully learn from them, learn from mistakes that they possibly made so you don't have to make them. That's why I'm doing this video, so I can, this whole vlog series, so I can sort of follow the path of my journey and show you possibly some mistakes I've made. So if you then want to go start your own business, you can hopefully avoid some of those mistakes by learning from me. And that's exactly what I did from learning from my mentors. And a lot of my mentorship started from just reaching out, whether that's a cold DM, cold email, anything along those lines. It has really helped me because I've been able to get in touch with founders that I never thought I was ever gonna be able to speak with. And then that really helped me because then I was able to follow along their journey, tap into that line of communication with them every once in a while and say, hey, I'm really having trouble with X. When you were going through that process, what did you learn? How did you navigate through it? And then just having those people to tap into and build your community around was extremely beneficial for me, and I can guarantee it will be for you. I still tap in every once in a while to some of my mentors. I actually just reached out last week just to get some advice on packaging and the process that my mentor went through to produce their packaging. And now I'm currently in the phase of designing my packaging. So just constantly building upon your community is extremely important, whether that's a mentor for marketing, a mentor for someone who has gone through the process and has been extremely successful in fundraising and raising capital for their company, or even just designing a product. Anything along those lines, you can find a mentor for really anything that you're looking for. If you need someone to help you with your communication skills, try to DM someone on Instagram or reach out to a friend that you may know who is good in public speaking, anything along those lines. You can really continuously build upon your skills just by tapping into that. I actually released a podcast last week with the title, The Power of Reaching Out, and just how important it is to not be afraid to just say, hey, I'm going to ask, and just put out that ask into the world, because you never know what you'll get in return. You never know who may be willing to help. So I highly recommend looking into mentors and not being afraid to just reach out to someone and ask them for some advice if you need it. Thank you for tuning into this week's video. I know it was a bit different than previous vlogs, and it will be different than the vlogs coming up. I just wanted to do an informative version of a video that I can talk about problems that I encountered while going through the process of starting a business and how I overcame them and how I'm still overcoming them, and also just other topics such as mentorship and how important it is to me. So thank you again for tuning in. Next week's vlog will be extremely exciting. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to stay on top of all the news and other video drops that I'll be doing. And also, I posted a picture of this Benji Ball hat last week, and I got a lot of great responses. So these will be coming soon, so keep a lookout on all the social media at Benji Ball for All. I'll provide some updates about when these are going to be released and where you can get them, how you can go about getting them. It'll be a limited drop, so make sure you're one of the first to get them. Thank you for watching this week. I look forward to showing you guys what I got planned for this upcoming week, so stay tuned for the next video.